Welcome to our power lunch.
I'm back.
Dakota's back.
My eye's normal now. That's good.
Last week she wasn't here because she woke up with an allergic reaction.
I actually went to bed with an allergic reaction.
Oh yeah, and woke up with it still really bad.
Yeah.
But it was like, if you've ever seen the movie Hitch with Will Smith, after he eats the shellfish,
It was pretty much that.
there's a visual for you.
Yeah, minus the bottle of Benadryl. Was pretty much me.
You had a bottle? No, you weren't drinking. Oh,
he
he was drinking it out of a straw. That's funny. Yeah, you're right.
I wasn't doing that, but
I didn't remember that detail of the movie.
Otherwise, that is the effect. So yeah, I'm back, and we do not have a guest today. You're stuck with us, so I hope that's okay.
Just us.
But I think we have a pretty cool topic today. I think something that hopefully we're hoping is going to break down a lot of barriers for people that are either thinking about getting into real estate investing or think that real estate investing isn't maybe something for them. Or they
not in the cards for them, or they just, they don't have access to it. They don't know how to do it.
That's where we're going with today.
You've got more than you think.
Yeah. We've been busy. It's been a busy month.
Did we mention yet that we're planning to move?
No.
Well, we have it.
There you go. You heard it.
As
you heard
an
it here
update,
first.
So this is why it's so clean and like staged behind us with the flowers.
There's no like boxes of paper or anything behind us now because we are packing to move.
We haven't sold the house yet, but we are selling it. We had our first showing yesterday. We're not even listed on the market yet, so don't ask for the link. Yeah. But yeah, there's I guess it's kind of exclusive right now. The realtor is kind of sending it out to her list of people. So we had a showing yesterday.
Yeah. So it's been busy.
So we had to hustle over the weekend to get things cleaned up.
Yep.
And ready for getting the house show ready.
Yeah. We've been packing. I call the month of February the road to nationals, because this is when we're doing a lot of practicing and a lot of preparing for I'm a synchronized skater. If you're not sure what nationals I'm talking about. So we're preparing for nationals right now. Jeff has been out of town a lot doing different boot camps. It has been a crazy month. And then we have our regular, projects that we have going on, and the regular stuff. So it's been a little crazy, but despite that, I think we have I feel very short today. I don't know why.
Oh, lift your chair up.
Okay,
I had to lower your chair actually to fit under the desk it was sitting at.
I'll just sit on my foot. It'll be asleep by the time this is over.
Chair.
Yeah, I was like, why am I only like this in the screen? I figured it out. So I'm gonna have an asleep foot by the time this is done, but that's okay. And yeah, so that's our update. We've been busy. Things have been crazy. We have a lot going on, plus our regular real estate stuff, projects we got going on, stabilizing the 24, kind of finishing up the conversions that we were doing. Lots happening.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. And
very busy.
Today, we're going to talk about something fun.
We're spending this time with you guys.
Before we jump into that, if you are new to our Power Lunch, welcome. And if you are joining us again, welcome back. We do these every week. Tuesdays, 12:30 Eastern. We pick a topic of some kind of real estate, entrepreneur, mindset type of a topic, and have a discussion about it. We've wanted to bring on. You feel like I'm going to hit you?
No, I just
Oh, okay, sorry.
Just tweet.
If you have a topic that you want to hear about, or if you want to get on our Power Lunch with us, send us a message. We would love to have you on. We had our first guest last week. Well, I wasn't there, but Jeff had his first guest last week.
That was fun. I want to do it again.
Got some audio things figured out.
Join us. Yeah. We'll have the audio fixed. I know how to fix it now. So, we fixed it by the end of last week.
Yeah. So got that figured out. Got the I don't know, logistics kind of down. So if you want to be on this with us, if you have something you want to talk about, send us a message. We'll get that figured out.
Yep. We record this, but it's also live on Facebook and on YouTube. Shout out to Canadian Real Estate Channel for tuning in on YouTube right now. What's up?
And yeah, that's our spiel.
So did you say if you're new here, like it, follow, subscribe, all the things?
Yeah, and let us know. Let us know that you're here. We try to make this as interactive as possible. So say hi. If you have something you want to add to the conversation, add it in. Even if you're watching the recording afterwards, say hi, comment below. And if you want to chat further about anything we've talked about, send us a message.
Yeah, we're keeping an eye on the comments. So if you have input, let us know. We'll talk. So onto today, onto the main event.
Yeah. So the main event for today, what we want to kind of dive into is almost breaking down some barriers that I think people have getting into real estate investing. We talk to a lot of people who want to get into real estate investing. I think there's the classic, like, I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to get into it, which I think is pretty fair. A lot of people also have the misconception that they have to do
everything.
They have to be everything in a deal.
They have to use their own money. They have to have the ability to find the deal and structure it and put it all together, package it up nicely and own it 100%.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not how most real estate deals are done.
Yeah. I'd say
that's how you buy a single family home.
Yeah.
Buy it yourself.
Yeah. Well, there's that saying, it's if you want to go quick, go alone, but if you want to go far, go together.
Go together. Yeah.
Right? Hopefully I didn't butcher that.
I mean, close.
There was enough.
You got the point across.
Yeah, there was enough oomph behind it, so I don't know, may have butchered it. If not, I should have been more confident with it. But I think that's a big part of real estate investing, especially if you are planning on creating a portfolio. There are very few investors that have created a full portfolio, being, not just, one or two single family homes, one or two duplexes, creating lots of doors, bigger portfolio, and they've done it all entirely on their own.
And this isn't just for people that are new. This is also for people that have been doing this for a while, but have been doing it on their own. Eventually, if you are trying to build a portfolio, you will get tapped out, right? You will run out of money. You will run out of time. You will run out of the resources that you have. Mm-hmm. So this is where going far together really comes into play.
Yeah. And a thing to remember about this discussion is that, we always like to say in real estate, the answer to a lot of questions is it depends. So keep in mind that nothing that we're going to say is like set in stone. You have to do it this way. If you want to do deals on your own, that's fine. Do deals on your own. There are going to be some deals that it actually makes more sense to do on your own. Mm-hmm. There are going to be some deals that make more sense to have have a partner involved. There are going to be some deals that make more sense to have more private funds rather than equity partners. So nothing is like cut and dry. This is how you do it. I think that's the beauty of real estate investing, especially when you get into some more sophisticated deals, is that there's a creativity behind it. And we always say having tools in your toolbox. It's having a lot of different tools and knowing when to take those tools out at the appropriate time. That's what's going to allow you to build a bigger portfolio, and often, I don't want to say a safer portfolio, but I don't know what other stable portfolio. I don't know how to word that in the right way.
Yeah.
But having those different tools allows you to think differently in order to make sure that the deal is going to perform the best way possible.
I think that's probably your favorite part of everything that we do, is the creativity that goes behind structuring a deal or essentially solving a problem. Mm-hmm. We are professional problem solvers, day in and day out.
Yeah.
Putting out fires and solving problems.
Yeah. But it's fun.
But having the tools in your tool belt and having the right team to be
Yes.
able to put those fires out, or to solve those problems, is going to be what's the differentiator, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's when the sophistication comes out as far as real estate investing goes. So yeah, obviously like the cut and dry, knowing your numbers, knowing how to underwrite, understanding profit loss, understanding real estate from the perspective of a business is really important. I'm not going to say that that's not an unimportant part of creating a deal, but there's also the creativity piece that is really important.
Yeah.
Uh,
The best deals are not found, they're created.
yeah.
I'll say that day in and day out.
So I guess where are we going with all of this is that the creativity piece also comes down to how you can get involved in a real estate deal, because you don't need to have I was going to say you don't need to be every tool, but that's kind of weird. You don't have to have every single tool in your tool belt.
Be a tool.
Yeah. It's like, that's weird. I said it anyways. Went through my brain, but I was like, that's weird. Shouldn't say that. But you don't have to have every single tool in your tool belt to be able to complete the transaction. But you need to have all the tools on the team. So all the people need to have all the tools to be able to get the deal done.
You still need all the tools.
You still need to have all your tools.
Oh my God. All right. Moving on.
You know what I'm saying? So what we like to do, especially when we're talking to some newer investors, is to take an inventory of what resources they have in order to complete a real estate deal. And I think
what do you bring to the table?
Yeah.
Right.
And there's two kind of big categories that you can talk about, and then you start to break down what is involved in each category from there.
Yeah. So we have the active side and the passive side. Passive is really easy. We can dive into a little bit more, maybe on another talk about the passive side and how there's different avenues that you can take from a passive investor side. But really, that boils down to money. You have money and you want to deploy it into real estate. Maybe you want to be passive and you want somebody else to do the active side. So you, as the money partner, can come in and give money for the deal. And there's different ways that you can have your return. But today is more about the active side. So what's on the active side is different roles, right?
I would say actually before we get into the active side, just quickly for the pass, if you want to be a money partner, remember that's not totally passive. You have to still know enough about what you're getting into to know that what you're getting into is a good deal. So yes, you're not doing the day-to-day work, but you're not totally out of the game.
You're not off the hook. You're the ultimate decision maker with your own money. So if you want to be putting it into a solid deal, then you need to know what a solid deal looks like.
Yeah. But it's a great way to learn as well. I speak to a lot of people who...
And you have timelines to hit too, right? So if you say that you're going to invest in somebody's deal, well, you need to know when that deal is closing, when you need to have the funds by, when you need a letter of commitment, when you need signatures and stuff like that. Yeah. There's still that side of it.
Yeah, I don't think anything's ever completely passive. You still have to put a little bit of work into it, especially if you want to be safe with what you're doing.
Yeah.
But it's a lot more passive, especially in the day-to-day, than the active side. But this is something that I talk to a lot of people about, especially when they're just starting in real estate. And we'll also talk about this a little bit more on the active side, or they have the money, but they don't have the time. They don't want to put the time in. They're interested in real estate, but they don't have the time to actually figure it out. This is a really good option for those people because they don't necessarily have to learn the ins and outs. They have to know enough to say, okay, these returns make sense. I can, add, subtract, multiply, divide. All these numbers make sense, but they don't need to know kind of the day-to-day on how to run a building. So it's a really good option for someone who doesn't care to learn or who does want to learn, but they want to do it through somebody that has some experience. So
like mentoring through a deal.
Yeah, mentoring through a deal. I recommend that often to a lot of people who are just getting into investing and they have a little bit of money to put towards something. But obviously, doing a lot of teaching on how to make sure that that deal makes sense and finding the right partner to make sure that they will actually do some mentoring along the way, because that's not always the case with
Yeah.
active partners.
And you don't need to have that money to learn as well. You can still go in on somebody's deal on the active side, uh, but just know that you need to bring something to the table
Yeah.
for you to be involved in that deal. You need to bring something to the table, and we'll dive into that, what that kind of looks like.
Yeah. So we can actually talk about what things can look like on the active side. There are a ton of roles that you can break down on the active side, and you can do multiple of them. You can do one of them, two of them, depending on what skills, sets, and resources you have.
And we're not this is to talk about more like what the roles are and how you can get involved, not so much how to structure it once you do get involved. That's going to be deal dependent 100%, and that's going to be totally between you and the other partners involved on the deal.
Yeah.
To negotiate what that actually looks like from an equity percentage or whatever. So we won't be talking about that here. Just more that it's possible,
Yeah.
right? So yeah, it's all about resources. Mostly on the active side, you're talking about time, or you're talking about credit. So we've heard OPM, other people's money. That is more on the passive side. But then there's OPC, other people's credit.
Yep.
So that would be more like qualifying power. Can you qualify for a mortgage? Do you have a high net worth and qualify for a commercial mortgage, something like that? OPT, other people's time. Did I say that one? OPD. OPD is interesting. We kind of touched on it a little bit. Other people's deals. So this is getting involved in somebody else's deal. So somebody else might have a deal, and you want to get involved in that.
Yeah.
So this is something where you can tap into somebody else's expertise.
So I guess kind of breaking down what some different opportunities are from an active perspective. And this is really, like Jeff said, just to give you an idea of how you can get involved in a deal, or if you're nervous about getting into investing and you only have a couple of pieces of these, you can bring on people that kind of fill in your blanks so that you can move forward on a deal. And I think that's the cool part about real estate investing is, in my opinion, pretty much anybody can invest in real estate as long as you're willing to, learn, especially from the active perspective, is learn how to do pieces of it or put in some work, and you can get into real estate. So there aren't very many barriers to entry as long as you're willing to get creative and put the work in to do it. So like you said, qualifying is one of them. If you have good credit or a good, solid T4, solid job. If you're, what do we say? If you're bankable.
Bankable.
Is that the word that we use?
Yep. Bankable.
Yeah.
If the banks like you as a borrower, right?
Yep. If they like to give,
they don't love
you money.
People that are self-employed. They don't love,
which is a lot of active investors, a lot of them.
Yeah.
So, that's a nice role that you can play. There's also one that I see very commonly, and I see this often with investors that I've started working with early on in their investing career, is boots on the ground. Because there are a lot of investors who we're in Canada, so we'll say one province, but don't find the investing in that province favorable, or it fits their portfolio. They want to invest in another province. They have the expertise to actually do the investing, but they're not physically there where the building is, and they want somebody who's physically there. So that's a really good opportunity to partner with that person and say, hey, I'm here. I can be boots on the ground. I can do, a bit more of like the asset, I'm not going to call it property management, but more like asset management, kind of verging onto property management for the deal. And that's my role that I get to play in that. So that's a lot of time. It can be some like grunt kind of work, but at least it gets you involved in the deal. And that way, especially if you're new and you're partnering with someone who has a bit more experience, you can learn from them from more of the, I guess, deal setup management piece. And you get to kind of just put in the time and the work to be boots on the ground. So that's one of my favorite ones that newer investors can get involved. Is pretty like low access of entry, which is cool. Um, and then capital raising.
I think that's probably one of the most popular forms of coming, like bring somebody in onto your deal, is to help raise capital. If you have a large network or you have access to high net worth individuals and you are able to essentially sell the deal, meaning that you're bringing on passive partners, then that's worth a lot, right? So the person that's putting the deal together may not have the resources or the network to be able to bring all the investors in and raise the capital required. So this is something that that you can, if you have that network, then you can bring that. That's a resource that you have.
So, or maybe you're just like really detail oriented and you love spreadsheets and you know,
Underwriting, yeah.
yeah, you love the underwriting piece, you love numbers, you love playing with numbers, you have a really solid like business mindset, then maybe you're more on the asset management side of things.
Dealing with the financials, dealing with the underwriting pre-purchase, the asset management after purchase, yeah.
Yeah. So really like if you break down a deal, so like what do you need for a deal? So you obviously you need deal flow. You need things coming to you, like properties coming to you. You need the expertise to be able, I'm not saying like you need this, but the deal being you need to have access to opportunities. You need to be able to underwrite those deals and make sure that it makes sense. You also need to be able to do all the due diligence and know that you've checked off all those boxes to make sure. So due diligence being making sure your underwriting with their actual numbers is good, doing your inspections, doing your environmental, coming up with a plan for the property. So is this something that you're going in and renovating a bunch of units, turning them over, increasing rent? Is it a buy and hold? Do you plan to flip the building? Do you plan on holding it for a long time? Do you plan to do refinances at certain periods? So a bit of I know, and things can obviously change, especially in buy and hold, but having an idea of what your exit strategies are and what the plan will be for the property. And then raising capital if that's required. And then even once the deal has come to close, you need someone who's going to be doing asset management. So making sure that the asset itself is still functioning at its, the best it can throughout its lifespan. So checking in on the financials, making sure they make sense. Are there opportunities to increase value of the building, to increase income? And then you also have to have property management. So that's more dealing with the actual tenants, dealing with what's happening.
Tenants and toilets.
Yeah,
That's
like
property
that's your
management.
that's your tenants and toilets. So less of like the overarching financials of the property, more the actual day-to-day operations of what's happening in the building. So that's really what you need in a deal. And once you start to break that down, there's different roles. Those are basically your different roles within the deal. So you need different people doing, well, not different, you need people doing all those things. And is that person you? Is that person someone you're bringing on to take on some of those roles? Are you splitting it half and half with another person? Do you have multiple people coming in to join you? There's a ton of opportunity, and it just matters. It comes down to what you can do and what you need to fill, or what you can fill for somebody else.
Yeah. One thing that you left out actually would be the finder of the deal, right? So bringing the actual deal to the table, maybe you're really good at lead generation or something like that, and you're able to bring the deal to the table.
Yeah, all or maybe you have good relationships again with like other professionals. So your realtors, but also your mortgage brokers, insurance brokers.
Yep.
All the people that you need to get the deal over the finish line.
Yep.
So
that's another resource, is having that like being a professional potentially, right? And having a skill set. Like, are you a lawyer? Can you bring something to the deal as a lawyer? But then it really begs the question of whether that person is worth like an equity position or a fee, but we don't have to get into that. That's something that you bring to the table though.
Yeah. And I know, we were kind of talking about this before we hopped onto the call, But one of the things that you do is you sit down and you ask somebody, especially if they want to get into real estate investing and they're newer to the game, they're not really sure how to start, is what are your resources?
Yeah.
What can you do? What do you have access to?
And what are your limitations, right?
Yeah.
Do you have enough time to do this? Or is maybe your first step finding a partner that you can maybe split the active roles with?
Yeah.
And figure out what your strengths are and what your weaknesses are, and then try to find somebody that can complement what you have.
Yeah. Yeah, you might know right away what gaps you have before you even start looking for deals. Like maybe you can do 50% of those things, but you know that you need someone to come on board for the other 50%. And you're going to find that person right off the bat, and they're going to be like, that's your business partner. And maybe that's your business partner for most deals, or maybe it's just for one deal. Who knows? But either way, it could come right before you start looking for properties, but it could also you could start to look for these things as you go through the project. Maybe you hit a wall and you're like, oh, I thought I'd be able to raise the capital, but I can't. So now I need to bring somebody on board to do that.
Or I thought I'd be able to qualify for the mortgage, but I can't. So now I need to bring somebody on board to qualify.
Yeah. But when you're just starting out, making a list of what your resources, like what you have access to yourself, is going to allow you to figure out how you can get involved in deals. So making that list right off the bat. So do you have money yourself? Do you have a strong network of people who are potential money partners? You were saying as a lawyer, maybe you're a lawyer, a doctor, a dentist, and you have a strong network of people that you can tap into and attract to you to work with you in deals. So maybe that's your resource, is your network. Maybe you have time, and you can put that kind of, that I won't call it grunt work, but you can put that like extra oomph into the deal. So making a list of what you are capable of doing yourself is going to allow you to figure out how to get involved in other deals. And I know you had mentioned something that I think is really important when you're talking about getting involved in other people's.
I often mention things that are very important. So
I'm going to try to lead you to this.
Great.
It might not work.
This always
it
works.
Always
really,
works
really
out.
well.
Sometimes it does. Sometimes it does. So I don't want to say it. You said this earlier. I don't want to take your stage. You were talking about when you're talking to maybe a newer investor about getting involved in someone else's deal.
OPD.
Yes. When getting involved in OPD, what are some things you don't want to do?
What?
Oh no. I thought that was pretty good. I thought we were going to get there.
We were talking about this before?
Yes.
When were we talking? Like during? Before the power lunch.
Right before. What don't you want to do when you're going into a meeting to potentially work with somebody?
Pick their brain. I didn't say that before,
No,
you don't want to just pick their brain.
But it's along those lines. How can I help in your deal?
Oh, we didn't talk about this before.
We did.
We've talked about this plenty though. Know what you bring to the table, right? You need to offer up help in the deal. Like, I can help you with X. This is my expertise, right? Instead of coming into the deal and just saying, I want to get involved in your deal. How can I help? If you're like, think about the other side of that. I don't know what can you do?
Me?
Like what? Like I could tell you what help I need, but whether or not you are going to align with that is a different story. And I don't know. Maybe I don't know that I need help with a certain piece, right? But if you come to me and say, hey, I have a large network of doctors and lawyers and dentists and high net worth earners, I can raise capital for you. Great. Sure. Yeah. Maybe this is something that I could use on maybe this is help that I could use. Maybe that's a gap that I have.
Yeah.
Right.
So, hi, Sam. So Sam said, don't make them do the work to figure out where you fit in.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're not solving a problem. You need to come with a solution.
You're basically creating problems at that point.
Like
you're like, what is your problem? And they're like, I don't know. Did I have a problem? I don't know if I had a problem. I guess I do if you're telling me I had a problem and you can fix it, but I don't know what that problem is.
But you're not even saying that you can fix it. You're just saying
True.
like essentially you're coming in just saying that you want a piece of the pie.
But you didn't bake the pie. You didn't go get the ingredients. You didn't mix anything.
Why do you want, like, what problem are you gonna solve? I think that's the key.
Yeah. And doing that work before to figure out what resources you have is going to prevent you from going into that meeting and saying, I can help you with something. And then that's the end of your offer to them. So go in prepared, go in knowing what you can offer, doing that inventory list beforehand. And that's going to help.
This is solid advice for life in general.
True.
I said, like, seriously, this isn't just real. This is like life advice. If you are going to somebody with a problem, don't do that. Go with a solution to the problem. Identify that there's a problem, but go in with a solution to that problem. If you don't have a solution, you should probably...
They're just going to be annoyed that you're bringing up problems.
Exactly.
I think that's really smart.
I don't even know what number you put in there, but yeah, 1,000,000%. Or whatever.
1 million, billion, trillion percents. Yeah, that's true. And that's, I think, any like work life.
If you want to join us on these power lunches to talk, don't just say, hey, I want to come with a...
Yes.
Come with an idea. Like, what can you talk about? What do you want to talk about?
Yes.
Let's figure it out. But if you just come and say, I want to join your power lunch, well, what are we going to talk about? Now I need to think of it.
Yeah.
I have to think of it already.
Don't stress me out like that, okay? No, but it's true, because it makes it so much easier to say yes to you.
Yeah.
Because if you come in with a plan and you're like, this is the plan, this is how we're going to do it, this is how I can help you. This can be getting into a deal. This can even be like presenting your opportunity to work with somebody if you're a professional. This can be getting onto our power lunch. Go with a plan.
This could be in your career.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, could you imagine going to your boss and saying, hey, these are the issues that I see. These are the solutions that that I think would work. Like, give me a raise and I'll work on them. Is he going to say yes versus like, these are all the problems? You're not getting a raise.
Yeah.
Any tips for discovering what people's problems are so you can come with a solution?
I think it's a great question, but I think it's more, what resources do you have? What can you offer up? Maybe you're not bringing a problem to the table, but you're bringing a solution to a problem they maybe didn't know that they had.
Yeah.
Right? So it's not necessarily identifying what somebody else's weakness is, but magnifying your strengths to be able to complement whatever they're already doing.
Yeah. And I think it's asking a lot of questions.
Yeah.
And
identification,
yeah,
having more information about whatever the deal is, the situation is, where their struggles might be. Yeah, it can help for sure. But yeah, it's really just ask good questions.
Yeah, because I remember I did this exercise with somebody, and they had come onto a call and they wanted to work with us, didn't know how, and I still wanted to figure out, because I'm always up for a conversation, right? Like, it's not the smoothest way to get involved with somebody, but I still like to try to figure out if there's a potential for us to work with other people. So they didn't come with a way that they could work with us, but I asked them a ton of questions. And we actually ended up figuring out that they had a very strong network of people that they could tap into. They didn't realize it, but through the conversation, through asking a lot of questions, we figured out that they had a strong network. So I said, well, have you thought about raising capital for somebody's deal? If you can tap into these people, start doing the education beforehand, have those conversations, kind of prime the people in your network, and then get involved in other people's deals by raising capital, that could be a huge opportunity for you. And it wasn't even just for working with us. I said, that's an opportunity for you to get involved in real estate, period. So, and that all came from, we were at this, we kind of started on square one saying, I don't know what your opportunities are, but why don't we do an inventory? So I just asked questions, and that's what we found. So I think if you're going in with some strengths, you you can ask kind of I guess opposite questions that I would have asked. But it starts with a discovery call.
Yeah. So knowing where your strengths and resources are allows you to ask better questions as well.
Yeah.
100%. Because now you know what you can you can guide that conversation towards maybe where your strengths are.
Yeah.
Right.
And what they might be missing. And you have the conversation, maybe it's not a good fit. It's not a good fit. That's fine. But it's very likely that you will find somebody that does not have the same strengths as you. That's why there are business partners, because not nobody has all the strengths.
Yeah.
So,
and going back to the other people's deals thing, if you are having trouble finding deals, talk to the people that have the deals and see if you can get involved in those by bringing whatever strengths you have to the table. Right? Tap into that. I mean, this last year has been insane. Yes, it's harder to create a good deal. It's harder to find a good deal. But I mean, within our community, we did over 800 million in transactions in 2023 alone. So to say that there's no deals out there is very, I don't know, narrow mindset, like narrow sighted, I guess. It's just, I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe there's something that's lacking, but like if you can get in on somebody's deal that is creating deals, then that's something that's going to be a benefit to you.
Yeah. So I guess two things about that. The first one is I'm going to guarantee that the majority of that $800+ million in real estate transactions, those deals were done in partnerships. They were not done by
absolutely.
Each deal was not done by one person. They were done as partnerships with a collection of people. I'm not going to say all of them were, but I'm gonna bet that the majority of them were through partnerships. Yeah. And the other thing to keep in mind is if you are presenting your strengths to somebody, always keep in mind how is it helping them? Because in that moment, I'm sorry to tell you, what you need doesn't matter. What they need matters. Because if you're presenting what you need to them, we all try to be altruistic.
This is also life advice, by the
way. We like to pretend that we're all like altruistic and love to help each other. That's great. But the reality is if you go in saying I can offer this and it's going to help me, they're not going to care.
Yeah, like I need a deal, so I want to get it on yours.
Yeah.
What? No.
So
that doesn't make any sense to me.
Go into the meeting thinking about what you can do for them and how it's going to help their business, how it's going to help their deal, and present that to them. So because maybe they can raise capital, but if you were to take that over, or if you were to take over finding more deals, their deals could go exponential. They could do more of them. So maybe they already can do these things, but with you involved, they can do 10 times what they were doing, or they can double their output. So what is working with you going to do to help them, which guess what, in turn is going to help you, but that's not what you're presenting. So keep that in mind. It is actually, I've learned that a lot in the sales world as well, is really important, is not necessarily what they can do for you, but what you are going to do for them, because that's
everybody is thinking what's in it for me, right? So you need to go, the person on the other side of that, if you're coming in saying I want to get in on your deal, they're thinking what's in it for me. You're thinking what's in it for me, but you're trying to sell your services or your resources to this person.
Yeah.
So what are they going to get out of it is the focus.
Dampen your needs. They are there and they will be met if all goes well, but you're not presenting that.
Yeah. I like that.
Cool. Okay.
Become an expert. Where to go? Become an expert in one set of skills and partner with people who have complementing skills. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's a good summary of this.
And always seek to add value, and all your own problems will be solved along the way.
Put that on a t-shirt. Nice.
Yep.
Or just quote that.
One day we're gonna need that's a Sam quote.
Sam quote. Yeah. One? Exactly.
Yeah, I think that's really important. Focus on adding value to other places. It's going to come back tenfold. So
That's deep.
yeah, it's a good way to end it. I think that's a good
T-shirts by Sam. Hashtag. Nice.
Yeah, Sam gets the mic drop for today.
I saw you drop this yesterday. That's for like old SNL thing, isn't it? Hashtag.
Hashtag. Hashtag.
Yeah, I think that's it. Thanks thanks for tuning in. If you know anybody that would benefit from this episode, then please share it with your friends. Make sure like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. See you next week.
Tuesdays, 12:30 Eastern.
Oh yes.
We'll see you then.
Tuesdays at 12:30 Eastern. Live on Facebook and on YouTube. Bye everybody.